Can you imagine a loyal employee becoming injured in a car accident? This injury requires a short-term or long-term disability period. The worry and concern about health or how this will impact the future can be a very scary time in life. At this moment, you also find out your insurance company is also your employer, and it turns out you are being harassed by them due to a car collision injury. Let's talk about you and employer disability harassment today, here on ESTRATV. Welcome and thank you for joining ESTRATV on Blog TV, your car accident television show sharing information and concerns that help you. Hi, I'm ESTRA. Join me every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Your challenges in dealing with insurance companies, self-insured employers, and coping with everyday situations from being involved in a car accident are up for discussion. Have an idea for an upcoming episode? Email your ideas to estratv@gmail.com. Imagine going out for morning coffee only to have people surrounding you for the purpose of harassment and intimidation, making lines longer, stretching out your days. Their main purpose is to annoy as much as humanly possible in hopes to persuade injured people to give up a disability claim. Imagine going up to an intersection only to have the lights change a few seconds before being able to pass through it. What if this happens most of the day? If this happens most of your day, how annoyed would you be? And what could be done about it? Imagine every time you park, you'd be harassed and intimidated by individuals passing back and forth in front of your car, looking inside your windows, or just standing in front of you.
Why would insurance companies and employers be excluded from the laws of harassment? Why would it be okay to intimidate group disability insurance policy employees while no other citizens would ever be subjected to this behavior? And why would officers of the law ignore requests for help by the injured? Who has given them a pass on bullying behavior that impacts negatively on injured employees? Should employers have these rights just because they are required to pay out money on a disability claim? How is this fair or just? What is the traumatic effect on people who are already injured and most times at their weakest moments? How many cave in to drop their claims because they buckle under the weight of pain, suffering, and now loss of income they thought would be available if tragedy strikes? Yes, currently employers withholding disability income from an employee have few or little consequences, thus makes it an attractive alternative to paying out claims. By limiting the amount of reimbursement for such malicious behavior, Congress has unfairly targeted the injured for mistreatment, in my opinion. The poor have gotten poorer, the middle class drops to poor, and the wealthy fight back like crazy. Why should we have to fight for the right to be treated with respect and dignity through this process? Should the laws of the land protect us? They apply with individual insurance policies. Why would employer group insurance policies be excluded? Why would ERISA, which is the legislation created by Congress, give them more rights and privileges than those injured whom supposedly these laws were initially created to protect? It is time for you to ask your congressional representatives this question. Ask them where they stand on this issue, and would they vote for ERISA reform to make it fair for injured or sick employees. Initially in the claim process, a stage is set for injured to feel safe and secure for working on their injuries. Most bend over backwards to provide the answers requested by insurance companies or employers. Many are surprised, some sooner, others later, when receiving a letter that their benefits have been stopped, or even worse, expect their regular benefit check and it doesn't show up when expected. Next, add the ploy of an overpayment scare tactic, which many times intimidate employees into relinquishing their rights and benefits. This might compound the feelings of loss and despair for too many individuals. This is why you were paying premiums each pay period. Are you expecting a safety net in case of trouble? Now you have to hire an attorney and fight for 2 to 10 years for benefits. This becomes a great endurance of suffering and loss for employees injured in a car accident. Compensation to injured should not be dropped at the discrepancy of employers, since they have a vested interest in maintaining the profitability of their bottom line. Isn't this a conflict of interest? Is it this desire for profitability that engages many in disability harassment against employees? If so, should there be something in place to discourage this type of practice instead of using it with vigor? How about making a requirement that all profits they make in those 2 to 10 years are prorated to their insured? Would this change their behavior that is typically industry-wide? Imagine the amount of suffering it would reduce. How many injured could recover sooner and get on with their lives? How many of their family members would not be overly burdened? How many relationships could be saved because of less stress? The list is endless. So next time you write or talk with your Congress representative, ask them to reform ERISA. Make it the same as individual disability insurance policies. With these policies, harassment and intimidation practices have consequences. The injured can act upon them to curb their behavior, which inflict pain and suffering in an effort to eliminate paying out disability benefits to the injured or sick people. Here's a question to think about today. How can you bring awareness to harassment and intimidation experiences by people injured in a car accident and filing for long-term disability?
Employer disability harassment is real. You need not be ashamed if you find yourself in this situation. A car accident could happen to anyone, and these circumstances are no fault of your own. Use inner strength and courage to focus on you. Stand in the face of employee harassment and intimidation. Tell others about it. Ask your congressional representatives to vote for ERISA reform and reject harassment and intimidation of the injured. Demoralizing is the key. Don't fall for it. Choose to stand. That's it for our show today. I've enjoyed you being here with me. Thank you so much for coming. Meet me back here next Wednesday so we can continue this conversation. This is really about you, and you matter. And your car accident injuries matter too.